Yo, welcome back to the Audio Theory Podcast. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button as well as subscribe button before I have a fucking aneurysm or some shit. How have you been, Danny? Clearly, we're both, our minds are in need of some rest.
Yeah, we're good. We're good over here. Your boy survived Hurricane Milton. Bro, like luckily, and obviously a lot of people had shit damage. So shout out to, the people who survived and actually going through real shit on the west coast of Florida. Nothing really happened here besides like winds, bro. I did get a leak in my roof, so I have to deal with that shit. But besides that, nothing crazy. But dude, no exaggeration, bro. You know how in COVID we were just drinking so much because we were home and we didn't have anything to do?
Yeah.
Bro, this was more than that. Because like I don't know what happened, like if it's like the prep, because we have to prep for the house and like we just buy alcohol because we're not going to be able to leave. But bro, me and the wife drank like every day a bottle of wine. If it was a hard day at work, 2 bottles of wine. I'm like, bro, I need this hurricane to leave, bro. We had cabin fever by the end of it. Like, I need to get the fuck out the house. But again, all in all, it was fine. Caught up on some shows, but yeah, that hurricane shit was crazy, man. Because it wasn't even the hurricane didn't do damage. What did the most damage? There was random tornadoes popping up, bro. And like one was like 5 minutes from my house. And with those things, it's like there's no prep, right? There's just hoping you can find some place in the house that doesn't get absolutely destroyed. So yeah, it was a little uneasy for like 2 nights in a row, like the anticipation. But thank God, knock on wood, our part of the state was okay, because that was definitely scary for a moment.
Got it. So did you work from home? Have you been working from home? Like,
yeah, dude. I've been, yeah. So that week we just didn't go into the office those 2 days. So I mean, nothing really changed, bro. Like I still had to work, so it was like more so I felt bad for her because I was working and she didn't really have anything to do. So thankfully, she was amazing. She helped prep the house and all that stuff.
Nice.
We had to put shutters up in case things got bad, but yeah, man, it was just, the moment work was finished, like in COVID, all right, let's start drinking. Like,
I feel you on that. I've been meaning to ask you about, I mean, first and foremost, glad you're safe, but been meaning to ask, bro, like, is this normal? Because obviously, like every year, it seems like there's some sort of hurricane. Clearly, you've survived them all, but then the news is like, it's like the apocalypse is coming. So I never know like how serious it truly is. Like maybe it's only one region of Florida that's like needs to immediately evacuate and move to another state. Like how does that all work?
Yeah, great question, dude. So usually it's like the west coast of Florida, because a lot of these hurricanes start up like in the Gulf of Mexico, and then as they ease their way, it always hits like places like Fort Myers and Naples get destroyed like every year, bro. It's crazy. But yeah, it's hurricane season. So hurricane season is essentially from like July through November. So there's honestly like one a month. What was crazy with this one, bro, there was 2 in the span of 2 weeks. So it was just like, bro, we just dodged the bullet, and now you're telling us there's another one coming. And bro, Tampa got destroyed twice in 2 weeks, bro. But yeah, man, it's honestly, it's every year until November. From July through November, we're just praying it doesn't hit us. We've gotten lucky, at least since I've been in this house, thank God. But again, there was still enough constant rain that, again, my roof had a good amount of damage, so I'm gonna have to take care of that. But yeah, no, we got lucky, bro. Like, and there's parts of Central Florida that, like, again, bro, they, like, places will never recover. So, so yeah, it's really just like getting prepared for like the next round of it, like in the years to come. So like at some point I need to buy a new roof. At some point I need to put impact windows, because again, at some point we're not going to get lucky, right? At some point there's going to be a massive hurricane that hits like the Miami area that like either we need to evacuate, or if we're going to hunker down, we need to make sure our houses will be prepared. Because right now, like if a hurricane hit my house, I know my roof wouldn't survive. And then I don't know if I have enough shutters to protect all the windows. So like it would be a fucking problem for sure.
Got it. So, I mean, considering that this is kind of like a yearly thing to some extent, how does that work with like home insurance and all that?
Oh, bro, that's the worst, man. So like homeowners insurance is like the worst in like the entire country. So like, for example, like I had a significant amount of like roof damage. So I wanted to put a claim in, and all my friends and people who've owned homes longer are like, dude, don't do it. Because if you put in a claim, they may do it, but they're going to kick you off the policy the moment you put the claim in. because like the insurance is just too high. Like the risk is too high for these insurance companies to take on. So yeah, no, bro, it's a disaster. It's a disaster, bro. Like it's
So basically, like if your home's like on the verge of literally falling apart, that's the only instance.
Exactly. So like what my roofer told me was like, bro, wait. He's like, listen, let's just fix up these small damages now, but let's wait until like like essentially everyone's telling me wait till like a real hurricane comes and fucks your shit up and then put a claim in. Because anything less than like complete damage, they're not going to pay for. And then they're going to see that I put a claim in and be like, well, you're liable to constantly do this. Let's kick you off.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can get away with paying a few grand, just do it now. But you don't want to need 100 grand and then be like, oh, well, I guess I'm shit out of luck.
Correct. That's what it is.
Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. So like this one's going to be like 3 grand, whereas like the entire roof is close to 22. Right. So like the same year I pay for a wedding and pay for a honeymoon, it's like, bro, I'm not paying 22 grand for a roof right now, bro. Like,
damn, these insurance companies are so like crooked. Like they exist, but the minute you want like to use their services or whatever, they find every way to not fucking pay you.
Oh yeah, bro. My guy told me they're gonna bring up that, hey, well, your house is a little bit older, so it might just be, general wear and tear. I'm like, or there's a hurricane.
Yeah, or there's a tornado like fucking 10 feet away.
Yeah, all these things would play a part. But yeah, dude, we got lucky, bro. Like we were very nervous leading up to it because again, like we have family calling us, seeing the news, and I'm like, fuck, are they seeing something we're not seeing? Because like we only really watch the news when they're like, yo, it's coming directly at you. So once we realized that wasn't happening, we like kind of we're a little bit lax about it. But then again, work was closed, going into the office was closed, the schools were closed. We're like, this might be more serious than what we're taking. Again, thankfully, nothing really happened. And I think in general, like they had it as a category 5 hurricane, which is like the worst. I don't think it actually became that, but yeah, definitely nerve wracking. And again, a lot of people in that part of the country were definitely like devastated.
I see.
Yeah. So we got lucky though.
What, I guess when is it all like quote unquote end?
I think like the second week of November. Like I think right now we hopefully in the clear. It's my birthday weekend coming up, so hopefully I don't have to deal with that shit. But I think like November is like when it's all like said and done, and then obviously you go into the holiday season, and then like it's not a thing at all to worry about until like midsummer, right? So like it's almost like the winter in like New York, right? Like, do you really want to deal with a fucking avalanche? But it's like you just deal with it and move on about your life. But obviously with those situations, like if you live in an apartment complex, like your life isn't devastated. Whereas like here, if like a hurricane knocks in your fucking roof, like your whole life is changed for like the next 5 years. So like, it's a little bit crazier here, but again, it's worth it. Again, when you can walk around in February in flip flops and like enjoy a 85-degree day. So it is what it is.
Exactly. I know, like whenever I hear this news, I feel grateful that like California doesn't have this, but then we have like maybe the worst potential fucking earthquake ever coming, like in history or some shit. So like,
those things are
scary.
Predictable? I didn't realize they were like slightly predictable.
They're slightly predictable, but I don't think it's like, yo, next Thursday, like it's gonna, shatter the entire state and split us in half, and it'll be like that movie, This Is the End, where we're fucking falling through the ground and shit.
Yeah.
But I think they could predict like minor ones here and there, but at the same time, like you can't really control what you're doing at the time.
What are you gonna do?
You might be on the rooftop having a drink, and all of a sudden you're all, falling off the building. So like, who knows? But this one that has yet to come is supposed to be like insanely massive. I just hope like the buildings, knowing that information, I think there's new regulations and shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know like how like tested they are for something like that.
Yeesh. Yeah, bro. It's crazy. Well, a lot of these things, bro, like, and it's what's funny, I was talking to my boy Billy, who obviously but like when we were in school at the University of Miami, like, bro, we didn't even think about this shit, and they were obviously happening, right? Like it was also like, dude, our school is called the Hurricanes, right? Like these things are obviously happening, but when you're naive kids who your parents are paying for your tuition and like, you don't give up, like, oh, whatever, bro, it's a rainy day, we'll just chill in the dorms. As a homeowner, I'm like, bro, how am I going to survive this? Like, am I taking out a loan? Like, bro, it's just a different kind of stress. But again, it's all part of life, man. But yeah, thank God we're okay. Again, for the most part, I think Florida was was lucky in general. But how about you, bro? How was your work trip to Seattle? Was it Seattle this time?
Yeah, Seattle. It was cool. Like I never have had too much of a stressful time in Seattle. To me, it's like a much cleaner, nicer San Francisco. Unfortunately, the weather's always been pretty nice. So prior to ever visiting, I had friends who like either had lived there or had visited, and they all would tell me like it's gloomy 24/7, the most depressing place ever, suicide rate through the roof.
And which all factual. But yeah, you've got lucky. Yeah.
But every time I go, I'm like, shit, I kind of want to move here. Granted, nice. I mean, I'm there for like 2 days at a time. So it's not
at a nice hotel, I'm assuming.
Right. Well, this time the hotel was whack because it was a last minute trip and we have to go with like approved hotels that are within company policy and stuff. So, I mean, the bar area was super dope. It kind of had like a vintage, almost like East Coast, like, I don't know, medieval vibe almost. But the room itself was kind of janky because like I prefer like more modern rooms, not like super Victorian looking rooms or whatever.
Yeah.
But overall, it was dope. It's always nice to travel on the company dime. But I was pretty tired because my wifey had her birthday celebration, which I coined as Yoctober, like her last name.
Yeah. I saw that on the thing. That was dope.
Yeah. And my brothers came up. Mickey, who had the first time he had visited us in the Bay, and the first time my brother Corey had seen our new apartment, and they stayed with us. So it was super fun to get out to be able to hang out with them up here. We actually had the cops called on us at the pool. So wait, let me backtrack a little.
Please, I want to hear all this.
What was dope about this trip is it seemed like everywhere we went, we met like really nice people, and it kind of it set the tone of like the Bay just appeared so much nicer than LA to my brothers.
Nice.
Like we met these dudes at this brewery while they were watching the Dodgers game, and we were chatting it up with them. Met this group of dudes at the club, and they were staying at the table next to us. And then at the pool, we met this group of like African girls and dudes in the jacuzzi, and we were chit-chatting with them. But I guess the pool technically closes at like 11 p.m. It's kind of up to the discretion of if the security guard.
Was it a weekday or a weekend?
Weekend. And we were playing music, but it wasn't like you can't hear unless you're on the roof. It was out of like a little ass speaker, and we were chatting it up with them, having a great time. My brother Corey's like DJing, all kinds of like African artists I've never heard of. And as we're chit chatting, realized it's getting to the deadline for when you gotta, go back to your room or whatever, or apartment. And I was like, oh yeah, there's just a security guard. I always see him all the time. He's like,
he's cool
he doesn't really give a fuck. He's cool people. Lo and behold, this is the one fucking time he makes it an issue. I don't know if it's because there's like 10 of us, but in any case, he's like, all right, you guys, you gotta go. And we're like, come on, like just 25 more minutes. First of all, he's looking at me the whole time like it's my fucking party. I don't know why. Maybe because he recognized me because I use the jacuzzi fairly often. But I was like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't know. And then he,
and mind you, this around. Is a cop or the apartment security?
Just like apartment security, but he's okay. Just like a random 22-year-old dude. I think he's like Ethiopian. But normally he's super chill and like hasn't said shit to me ever. But in this case, he made it a big deal, and he's like, all right, I have to call the police then. But we kind of called his bluff at this point. We're kind of lit and like, who cares? We're not doing anything illegal. And I was like, yeah, he won't do anything. And then fucking 5 minutes later, 2 cops come up.
Oh,
he's
bro.
Like, guys, he's like, pool's closed. And then we, of course, all have to leave at that point.
And mind you, was the other group you linked up with, were they also like all residents?
I think only one of them was. And she had like 8 friends over.
So were they saying the issue was the time of this, or just the overall noise?
Not it was loud. It was just like, oh, the pool's closed. And we were trying to be cool with the security guard and be like, yo, like, you can't get in trouble. What are you supposed to do? Like, fucking drag us out? Just say that, we wouldn't leave or something if it comes up. but I guess he's just like, for some reason he was paranoid that night. So he called them. Fortunately, I'm glad they didn't like grab our IDs or make us sign some bullshit, because the last thing I wanted is to be like written up to the apartment, and then now one extra thing I do like gets me evicted or some shit. But my brother, who's in real estate, like who like knows these situations, he's like, no, getting evicted in California is like you have
almost impossible.
You got to do some wild shit for them to invest that time and money. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer, because we were really like, I had gotten back to my apartment to get more bottles.
Oh,
like,
nice.
The vibes were going, and like they're African, and like my wife and I are trying to plan a honeymoon there at some point. And like we obviously don't know anything about it, and I was trying to get like intel from them and stuff, and like it was just good vibes, and then fucking cops had to ruin that shit.
But it seems like the cops were chilled though.
They were chill. They didn't like do anything besides. They were probably pissed off that he even fucking.
It's like, bro, you're calling me for residents of this building having a good time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
How was the club aspect of it though?
The club was cool. I think it wasn't so we had visited that, or ended up at that place randomly several weekends before. And the vibes there at that time were super dope. But I think when we got there, it was like kind of empty. And it wasn't exactly how we
like
had envisioned it when we showed up before. And I don't know, it's weird how that works. Like you kind of feed off of everyone else's energy, even though you're not fucking talking to them half the time, or most of the time.
Dude, 100%, bro. That's a crazy. That's like, I think, like, I don't know how you consider yourself like an introvert or like in those kind of settings, but like, dude, so Gene and I were looking for like a relatively affordable sushi spot, because like our local spot, like we go there, but we actually end up going there for like special occasions and spending like maybe way too much money. We're like, bro, I'm craving sushi, but I don't want to drop like $300 essentially.
Yeah.
So we found some spot, had good reviews, bro. We walked in and we're like, well, no one's here. So that's it. It's like 5:30 in the evening. It's like, bro, well, how is no one here for dinner service? And then, bro, like everything was off. But dude, it had excellent reviews. So, but, and again, we're not even, and they said the vibes were like they said the vibes are great. You're gonna and it's like, bro, we're not trying to talk to anyone, but we also want to see other people having a good time to confirm if we're having a good time.
Right. So like, make sure that the value is worth it. Because if other people are there, you're like, oh, I'm somewhere where there's a high demand and I feel special or whatever.
Correct. Yeah. So that didn't happen for us, bro. But I mean, it looked like you guys had a good enough amount of people that you also were able to create your own vibe at the club, right?
Yeah, it was a good time. It just took like 20 minutes, and we pregame before, so it's not like we showed up and we're like, all right, like this makes sense, we just need to take a few shots. It's like we already came in lit, and then we had to tone it down a little bit and get in the mood, and then get back in the mood.
And then pick it back up. Got it.
That was annoying, but either way, we had a great time that night, and fortunately dodged hangovers all weekend. There's like this Korean, it tastes like cat food. It's awful, but that's how I know it's legit. And it's just a bunch of pellets, and you eat it the night before and wake up refreshed.
Is this something you just discovered though, or something you've been putting off doing?
Just discovered like maybe in the middle of this year.
Okay.
They sell it at the local Korean grocery store. I think a friend of a friend told us about them. But that weekend was, even though like I didn't have hangovers or anything, that weekend was so exhausting because all we did was drink. In fact, Sunday we drank the most. And my brothers drove home at like 8 p.m. And then I just dove straight into work, and then Seattle, and I was just like, man, I can't drink or like do shit. I wasn't even in the mood to work out, and that just made me feel worse up until yesterday. I caught up like barely yesterday.
I feel that, dude. Yeah, I would say that's the only good thing about our situation, I think, because we only drank wine and like one bottle, and like, so one bottle between two people is not crazy, but the idea of doing that every single night for like a week straight when we really only drink on the weekends was like, oh, this feels a little bit like, do we have a problem? Like, you know, like, kind of a thing. But it all worked out, and we got our rest when we needed it. But all right, man. So we both survived some pretty exhausting situations, but let's get into it. Episode 194, episode 193 up everywhere. Dude, where do you want to start, man? Do you want to start with, I guess, J. Cole taking over the conversation a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so J. Cole seems to be back and wants the world to forget about his, him dipping out of the beef. He came out with a song with T Grizzley that is getting some positive reaction, and then he came out with his own song. I don't think it's available on DSPs just yet, but it's called Port Antonio. And on that song, he addresses the beef, why he dipped out, and kind of gives some maybe behind the scenes stuff that obviously we weren't privy to, including giving Drake a shout out, essentially saying, I'm not ashamed of everything you did for me. I'm still your boy. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So again, so your thoughts on just this version of Cole, right? Because I think there was a lot of conversation around him when he removed himself from the beat, and then he dropped a couple of songs. And again, maybe it was just our ears at the time because we were so disappointed in him that we kind of didn't really fuck with it, including that Cash Cobain feature he was on that everyone was like, bro, like, what is this? Right. But these songs do show a side of him that I think everyone can respect. I know the bars on that T Grizzly song were fire. I think that one's like hands down, like I think a better song than the Port Antonio. But even on Port Antonio, he's talking his shit. So what are your thoughts on like this version of Cole that we're getting 4 months removed from all the craziness?
I definitely like the feature run. Besides Grippy, that was just kind of random and out of pocket, but I really love the T Grizzly one. What I appreciated about Cole is when he gets on these tracks with other artists, he just blends in very well to the sound, but like outshines whoever it is almost completely. I don't think he necessarily outshined T Grizzly all that much in this one, but like whether it's with YG or these other guys, like he steals the show. And even though he was speaking kind of braggadocious, like none of it in that song made me think like he was referring to Drake or Kendrick or anything, just basically anybody else beneath him. Not too sure like if those are just kind of, the generic braggadocious rap bars that could apply to anyone, or if there's like a group of dudes he's specifically referring to. But either way, I think it was dope. But once it got to the Port Antonio release, I just felt like it was kind of unnecessary to kind of backtrack this far into the beef to be talking about the situation and clearing the air about like him taking sides and this and that. One thing I do respect is any artist using art to convey their point. I would much prefer that than a tweet or Instagram or whatever. But
yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, why was this necessary? Like, did you really have to get it off your chest to like prove to Drake or Kendrick or what? I don't know. I just didn't like that energy coming from him. It kind of felt very defeated. Like the tone just felt like he was defeated in a way. He was giving into the narrative.
Yeah. I mean, also, and then again, I think when you and because I shared the quotes with you that I saw in Complex first before I heard the song myself. Dude, he's also rapped on a version of that beat his entire career. So I'm like, bro, if you're going to give us a song where you want to like get shit off your chest, maybe there's like some familiarity with that beat. But bro, like I've heard him rap over that similar fucking beat so many times already. I'm like, bro, this is the fucking selection you choose. But back to your point though, do you think, because I am a fan of people like being honest, right? If that's how you feel, then say how you feel. But do you think it's almost like he felt the need to say this out loud, right? Because he could call Kendrick. Clearly they have a relationship. He can call Drake. But do you think he needed to say this out loud so like the public would forgive him for like what went down? Because I think he got a lot of, I think rightly so. He got a lot of backlash, right? For what happened of him putting the song out, then removing it, and then like the way he kind of like just backed out and let his boy get like destroyed in this beef. So do you think like he just had to do this to like get the public back on his side? Because man, like I feel like again, people might say that Kendrick's a people champ and Drake's like the overall global icon or whatever, but I think in a lot of people's eyes, once Cole became on the scene, everyone was fucking with Cole. So this felt like the first time that in his entire 15-year run that like everyone was turning on him. So do you feel like this was like a necessary thing he had to do to just give people more context?
Yeah, I could see that angle from him. Because technically, when he addressed the beef the first time, it was on stage. It wasn't via music. And
Right.
up until this point, I think he like temporarily dodged or was able to escape from the conversation after Kendrick just had like the most wild claims about Drake, and then people were making memes about how J. Cole's, peaceful riding a bike, how he made the right decision and shit. But I think at this point, now that he's like kind of doing features and trying to resurface, people are kind of like, oh, we haven't forgot. And not only that, it seems like you're siding with Kendrick now because he officially won or whatever, and I feel like they think he's taking the easy way out and siding with Kendrick because he's like the champ or whatever. So I feel like I mean there's no way he's not hearing the comments and seeing the headlines and stuff, and I think he just wanted to address it once and for all. But I think it's just weird because from like a beef perspective, we've never seen any artist like drop PR, what is it? I don't know, like a PR push almost in like song form. Like I think it just comes across weird because beef is supposed to be like, just get in the ring and whatever happens, happens. If you lose, you lose, whatever. But he's kind of like on the sidelines, like, I don't know if I want to battle. Like, I actually don't want to go in the ring, but let me over explain myself. Like, it just doesn't look good from like a hip hop perspective.
Yeah, and again, I think this is the first time that he's dealing with these kind of reviews, right? Because, I mean, there's a story to be told. He only even entered the beef because of pressure from the public. Then he removed himself essentially because of the public, or maybe because of his friendship with both of them. But then even this feels like another thing that you're only doing because of the pressure of the public, right? So it's just odd that the guy that we would always go to because he was the most like real, right? And like he doesn't listen to the memes, he doesn't listen to the bullshit. It feels like it's louder than ever in his head, and he's just trying to convince us a little bit too hard. So yeah, again, it's just I feel for him because I do think I think he realizes he dropped the ball, but because there are so many eyes on this, the recovery won't be, oh, let me give some 15 16 bars and like it's gonna be fine, right? Like I don't know, man. I think time will tell. I don't think that song's gonna do anything as far as like, again, that's not a song that you're gonna hear on the radio. I don't think people are adding that to their fucking TikTok and real sound, right? Like this is a song like, okay, diehard hip hop fans, let me give you something, to like understand where I'm coming from. But removing that from it, do you believe him? Like, do you believe the shit he said in that song?
About what specifically? Just like
about like the why he like dipped out, and about like these guys just wanted to beef because they hate each other, and it's about like them, but it was really about them making money, like all that stuff, right? I think he was trying to give reasons as to like why he didn't agree with the beef, regardless of him being friends with both of them.
The only thing I believe from his angle is I think he genuinely wanted to participate and drop 7-minute drill, but I think he knows he held back. Like in retrospect, he knows there wasn't a whole lot he could even say about Kendrick without just taking it too far and saying some wild shit. And I think once he heard the feedback, it just solidified that feeling even more. And he's just like, you know what? Like, they're right. My heart wasn't in this. There's nothing negative I could say. I was just saying this shit about like him not having a classic or whatever he said, just because that's all he could fabricate to make it sound decent. And then he realized that and decided to apologize. But in terms of like clicks and all that stuff, I don't think that was a primary reason. I think it was more so he respects Kendrick, he respects Drake, and he just realized he's not cut out for like just beef. I think he just wants to be a great rapper, and just because of his talent, he's forced into this conversation he kind of didn't realize he didn't want to be part of. But I think he's throwing out the marketing and clicks and all that shit based on what's transpired since then. I think that may be more in reference to like, you know, the blogs and things like that. But I don't think Kendrick and Drake are necessarily the machine behind that.
Yeah, I think it is what it is. It's just like the music industry we live in right now. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna take more time for me to like, again, not forgive, but like forget the situation, right? Like it's just like it's too close, bro. Like again, I know we like to live in a world where whatever happened 2 weeks ago like doesn't matter, right? But bro, this is the biggest beef we've seen in hip hop since probably 50 and Ja, right? Or maybe Drake and Meek, but I think it's obviously way bigger than that. But maybe that was the last time. That was fucking 8 years ago, bro. So like this is the first time we've stopped and like truly been in the midst of some wild shit. So for you to play a critical part where we think that you're gonna have this guy's back and you truly dip out, and then again, not to play the results, but the results show that your boy probably needed someone to have his back, because again, it felt like it was 20v1 at some, at points of that. Yeah, man, it's gonna take more than a couple bars and you saying, "Bro, I'm still your boy," like for us to forget, right? And then to your point about the T Grizzly song being braggadocious, like, bro, like for you again, being the guy means you can't be pussy in guy situations, right? And say what you want, bro. It felt like a pussy move, right? Like it felt like, bro, giving that whole monologue at his show. And it's like, all right, man. But like, no one put a gun to your head and said, go in the booth and make a diss record towards Kendrick, bro. You chose to do that shit.
Right.
So that's where I struggle with this, bro. And again, I know the male ego is a real thing. And maybe he was just reading the blogs and it got the best of him and he just decided to put the song out, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, man. It's going to take me a while to forget this, and that song did nothing to help me. Like, oh, that's why he did it. Okay, no big deal.
Right,
you're the guy, top 3. It's like, no, bro, like you're not in that conversation. And then if I do hear songs where I feel like maybe you're alluding, you might be, I'm gonna look at it again. It might be fire to listen to, right? But I might hear it and be like, I don't agree. Like I don't see it, but good for you.
Also, this is the first time we had a beef where there was like a third party who chimed in, like of this degree. And I honestly just think, Kendrick and Drake have something way more personal going on. And J. Cole heard like that and thought it was on some like friendly, let's see who's the best type shit.
Yeah. He definitely, that's what he definitely thought, bro. He definitely felt like, oh, this will be fun. It's like, bro, like, no, it won't be, bro. Like,
right. Like, let's take light jabs at, who has a whack album or whatever. And then before you know it, people are getting called PDF files. Your wife got beaten up here and all this shit. And then he's just like, yo, I would literally have to lie and make shit up, or people are going to talk about some stuff that I don't necessarily want to bring up. And that's just not like what I got into hip hop for. And he just pulled the trigger way too soon. And I feel like he's just giving into the internet far too much.
Yeah. So it's weird. I think we agree that like we understand the why behind it, but I do think it's hard to still respect it. Right. And it's tough. It's weird to like say like, yo, because he did the commendable thing, right? Like if you don't believe your raps, like what other rapper is doing that, right? What other rapper is saying, hey, I put this out, I don't believe in it, disregard it, my bad, right? We should be applauding that, right? In a perfect, but again, dude, like hip hop's not perfect, bro. It is braggadocious. It is fucking like say your shit, put your chest out, and like stand on it forever, regardless of how fucking ignorant and ridiculous it is, right? But it's again, this is gonna be a wild case study like 5 years from now, bro. But in the midst of it, while this shit is still fresh and Kendrick's about to win a Grammy for the diss record and he's performing at the Super Bowl and Drake's still alluding to like wanting his revenge, like this is not the time for you to want to clarify your stance, bro. Like go somewhere else with that shit.
I think at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, why it's particularly disappointing is I think there's an argument to be made that J. Cole, just in terms of like being an MC, arguably might be technically better than Drake and Kendrick. Definitely not at making songs, but just like I don't know.
Bars.
Sometimes when I look at his bars, I'm like, shit, like that's the kind of stuff that would make everyone go like, oh shit, he really like put that together and all this stuff. But then he's like bowed out. So we never got to see that engagement really. So I think that's another aspect of it is like he had so much potential like within this beef. And I think a lot of people before anything transpired, like during the Like That era, a lot of people were thinking J. Cole was, you know, gonna be the one to like finally defeat Kendrick or whatever. And now we just never get to see that ever again.
Yeah. And I do, my thing is like
it's Dragon Ball Z or some shit.
If he never, my thing is like, bro, like I think we all believe though at that time when the Like That record came out that like it was really directed at Drake, right? Yeah. But it was alluding to both of them. And then dude, I think we all know like Kendrick and this dude are cool, right? Like I was listening to a song on the Dreamville, the old one, not the more recent one. The one with J. Cole and DaBaby. And like, if you realize that song actually has a feature from Kendrick, like, do you remember that? Like, I woke up with looking for some mud, like that whole line or whatever. And it's like, yo, these guys are boys, bro. So like, we all knew this was never gonna, like, my point is like, just never fucking even attempt to diss him. And this is not a conversation, right? Make it very clear, like, bro, like, I'm neutral on this one. Drake, I love you to death, but do your thing, bro. I'm not taking part. That's fine. I think it's when you give us a 7-minute song of telling us why you're better than this guy and his albums are trash and no one believes him. And then like, well, never mind, really. That's where we're like, bro, like if you're going to fucking be wishy-washy on the most pivotal time of your career in our eyes, what else are you going to be wishy-washy on? So
right. And I think what made it even worse is this song itself was just completely unbelievable. Like all the shit he said about his albums coming from a place of like obviously having a discography that doesn't even compare. Like that shit's wild to me.
Oh, like J. Cole versus Kendrick?
Yeah, like just his claims about like you flopped on this and you don't like that wasn't a classic and this and that. Like only someone of like, well, I guess Drake couldn't really talk about classics, but like it'd be like if Kendrick said something about Drake not having club hits or some shit. Like you just be like, I can't listen to this anymore because you're flat out lying.
Again, bro, but that's my thing. That's why I can't fuck with Not Like Us like that, bro. Because I'm like, these are so
it's like just so
it's like in my mind, it's like these are just lies. So it's just like I'm like, bro, like this is all so weird to me. But again, I don't want to make it about that. But all right, cool. So I think we're all on the same page about J. Cole. Real quick though, what are our thoughts on, because like that song with T Grizzly was getting a lot of love. Like, what are our thoughts on T Grizzly himself? Like, do you fuck with him?
He's not bad. I have a couple songs from him.
From Detroit?
Detroit. Yeah, I've never really been too heavy on Detroit music, to be honest.
But have we ever said out loud that Detroit rappers sound like LA rappers? Because when I hear T Grizzly, I hear like an LA rapper.
Yes, that's a big like known thing. I forget why. I think I'm not too sure about the accent, but that's definitely a thing because they do like the hard R like pork and like shit.
Yeah. Okay, because I never hear that with Big Sean, but he does give a little West Coast energy at times too. So maybe that's a thing. But yeah, I think honestly that was like the most when I heard that song. And again, I never listened to T Grizzly, so I know he had that famous song like what First Day Out kind of a thing back. But again, he's a nothing artist in my like. I don't look for his music, but in hearing this song over and over, I was like, is he from the West Coast? And like again, and I also just don't fuck with that. I've said this before in the pod to you and offline. Like I just don't enjoy that kind of rap flow, right? It never sounds on beat, right? The cadence doesn't just
kind of sounds like talking fast.
But talking fast, but like you're trying to catch the beat, but you always miss it.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's just like this.
Yeah.
Like
they
this
start
odd.
off slow and go fast. Like I was in the car, but I went. No, that was so though.
Yeah. Whereas like again, not I'm saying New York is the best, but like I feel like not, and I'm not talking about New York drill, but like think about like a Mace or a Cam'ron. Like we would knock them for like their lyrics. Like the fuck do you just say? Computer's computing. Like, but the shit was always on beat and the flow was always heavy. Right. Like it was a great flow. So it was just like, all right, I can fuck with this. It sounds nice, you know, besides anything else. With this, I'm just like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just weird to me. So yeah, when I saw, I mean, good for him for getting the love and getting that feature. But yeah, I think for a moment I was like, yo, do we even like T Grizzly? Like, why is he getting a feature right now?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, I think of those rappers out of Detroit, he probably has the best like lyricism overall. So I think when you come from a certain region that's not as massive, like you kind of get that love. But it's also like it's always the backstory too, kind of like DaBaby with Walmart.
Yeah.
One, you latch onto one like cool street legend or whatever or story, and then you can just blow up and be dope in like everybody's eyes.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy about DaBaby is that I feel like a lot of people forget that he also was our favorite rapper at a certain point. Like, yeah. I think we get caught up in the new bullshit, and obviously it's funny to make fun. I mean, I'm not making fun of it, but like I know blogs make fun of like his albums flopping more recently. But dude, there was a time, again, back to that J. Cole, Dreamville, DaBaby feature. Like, bro, like those DaBaby features were like a J. Cole Drake feature at that point. Like, you know, like Post Malone needed a DaBaby feature for his album when he was still looking for that hip hop. Like, DaBaby was the guy. So it's just crazy. Like, again, I know why, but like we're also now interpreting his lyrics like, oh, this is like whatever. It's like, no, bro, this is the same guy who we fucking loved 6 years ago.
Yeah. But I think it's similar. It's similar to the Lil Baby for me because they're both still great. Like nothing has really changed in terms of their ability. I think their flows and beat selection just got old. Like over time, it was like the same exact shit over and over.
I think that's what it is. It's like they're trying to recreate the same exact thing we fell in love with. And it's like, at some point there has to be some nuance. Otherwise I can just keep listening to your old shit. You know, like I think that's what it is. But all right. But yeah, good talk about J. Cole. Let us know what you think in the comments. Okay. So what do we have? All right. So I think, and we have this posted up now, talking about episode 193. I think we both said that the Tommy Richman album Coyote we hold in high regard. I was listening to that over the weekend as well. Just truly enjoying that. Bro, I love that song, Give It All, by the way. Bro, I was talking to Gina with like a glass of wine in my hand, and she was like talking about something, but the song was playing, and I was like dozing off. And I literally said out loud, I'm like, bro, I fucking love this song. Like, I just had to like convey that emotion, bro. So love the album. I know you did as well. I think he is getting some backlash, and, you know, jump in if I had this wrong. But I think he's getting backlash because he made his audience or just the general public aware in a statement that, hey, this isn't a hip hop album. And I think that some of the backlash is like, one, what's the need for the comment? And then two, well, let us determine what it is or isn't, kind of a thing, right? So is that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts in general with that comment itself?
I think my first reaction was like, I understand it because especially after listening to the album, like nothing about the album screams hip hop to me, but I understand why people are upset. And I think it's because his introduction to the world on TikTok with the $1 Million Baby song, especially the aesthetics and everything else, just felt very hip hop. And you can listen to that track and say to yourself, like, as a marketer, I know this is going to appeal very well with the hip hop fan base. Yeah. And I think we almost like within hip hop, we have this like PTSD with white artists coming in, you know, using our sound and aesthetics and then just immediately jumping to fucking rock or pop or what have you, country, and then just completely disregarding hip hop as some like little kid genre that real musicians don't use. But at the same time, like if an artist like him does claim hip hop, I feel like there's also going to be criticism of like, yo, that's not real hip hop. You're not spitting bars, this and that. So it's, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of like racial conversations. Like if a biracial person or like a black looking Latino's like, no, I'm not black, I'm whatever. And then some people might
I'm
think,
Dominican, I'm Dominican.
For us. Right. But then on the flip side, someone like that might be like, oh, I'm black, and they don't really look black. And you're like, you're not really black. Like, what are you talking about? You don't eat collard greens and shit. So I think it goes both ways. I don't know why he volunteered this comment. Maybe he was trying to get ahead of it, but at least for me, I never saw him as like a rapper or a hip hop artist. I just saw him as I don't know, like a groovy, like funk artist. I didn't really care, to be honest, what his genre was. I was just like, he's dope and unique, and that's where my mind ended.
Agreed. I think, yeah, so same. I think my confusion is just with the need to make the comment itself. And I don't have the full context. I don't know if you have it. It didn't seem, though, that he was asked a direct question, though, right?
No.
It felt like this was just like given information. Hey, by the way, this is not a hip hop album kind of a thing. Yeah. Which, again, dude, I would push back, even though listening through it, I agree. Like, this is more of like a soulful, jazzy funk vibe. But bro, there's also moments where he's rapping. I think we can agree with that. There's also a couple songs where he has rappers on it. So I think the main reason why he wanted to say that statement, bro, is because yes, if he says it's a hip hop album, or they say it's a hip hop album, he's going to be criticized as a rapper, right? Which obviously he's not. But it's just odd, bro, because there's clearly hip hop elements on this, bro. Like even the soulful, funky songs have like a certain drum cadence that you're like, bro, this is at its core, it's hip hop, right? Like maybe it's not a rap song, but there's hip hop here, right? I think you can say that about any pop artist now, right? I think this week, this is the first time there's no hip hop song on the top 10 on billboards. Okay, but Tipsy is a hip hop song at its core, right? But it might just be in the country genre, right? So I don't know why the need for him to draw a hard line in the sand when it seems at this point in time, everyone's fucking with you. So why you would want to alienate a certain fan base that may have embraced you, bro, especially like when your true introduction to us was prior to $1 Million Baby, which again, I agree with all your points about that song is a very hip hop folk. It seems like a very hip hop rapish song. The only other times I ever heard him was like with Brent Faiyaz, which again is a R&B artist, but you wouldn't say he wasn't hip hop, right? I think like I don't know. I get confused with like, yo, isn't hip hop just like a cultural thing and not like a genre?
Think it's like so broad. That's why it's weird. Like hip hop could just be like the fucking aesthetic and vibe you get.
Correct. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Cause like, I do think this is a hip hop album. Like there's pockets of it that remind me of hip hop elements. I wouldn't label this a rap album by any means. So maybe if he would have chose those words better, but yeah, it was just weird, bro. Because again, if you listen to the album, no one's thinking he's a rapper, right? Even though there's moments that he's rapping, but to say it's not a hip hop album, I just think that seems like a poor PR move when like you're gonna alienate a fan base that one embraced you from the jump, and then maybe other people who kind of went to you for aspects of hip hop that they like, that you were kind of a bridge for them. It's like, I don't know, it just seems odd, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I did see a follow-up tweet. He said to clarify, he's not solely hip hop and he just doesn't want to be boxed in. He'll probably never say this publicly, but I feel like there's just, unfortunately, especially nowadays, hip hop has such a stigma because it's so easy to tap into. Like, name any fucking YouTuber who's popular. They probably have some corny rap song about whatever, sound like overproduced, like sounds radio ready, and they probably spent fucking 8 minutes on it with the writer. And like, even for myself, like I kind of cringe at the word like, oh, I'm a rapper or whatever. Like I tell people I make music or I'm an artist or whatever, but I think rapper just does kind of have this negative connotation to it because it doesn't generally sound like a respectable art that requires talent to a lot of people. And I feel like he's afraid of having his accomplishments like diminished in some way, or his status, being diminished. So I feel like deep down subconsciously, like that's what he's trying to avoid.
Yeah, because I think you're right. I think with the rapper thing, it's almost like a sense of like, grow up, right? Like, this is like a child.
Rapper, like
anyone can make a rap, right? Anyone can. We all freestyle in kindergarten or some stupid shit. No, I get what you're saying. But yeah, again, I just don't think the comment was necessary. That's the thing. And I think it also, why would you want to alienate a fan base that clearly fucks with you?
Right.
That's the weird thing, right? It'd be one thing if like they're like essentially like Macklemore, right? Macklemore had hits, but like hip hop fans are like, we're good, bro. Like, you know, we don't want you. Whereas with this one, it's like hip hop fans are fucking with you heavy, right? I think when people heard $1 Million Baby, they were shocked you were white. So even when they found out you were white, they were trying to embrace you even more. Like, look at this fucking soulful ass white boy. So it just, that part seems odd when this fan base seems to really be riding with you. Like, why would you want to kind of give them a little bit of a Heisman, you know, arm when you can just, dude, ride the fucking wave right now? Which again, I feel like from what I've been seeing has been a very positive reaction to what this album is.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I feel like he had the right intention, but I don't think he articulated it well. He could have said all of that without specifically calling out hip hop. He could have just said like, I'm genreless or whatever. You can't get mad at something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I just want to make great music, whatever.
Yeah.
Some people will still interpret that as like, oh, he's, you know, not trying to claim, you know, hip hop or whatever. But nowadays, like, you, with all the culture vultures that like have existed and continue to exist, I feel like you have to be careful about saying statements like that.
Yeah, agreed. And again, I know this is his first album, but he's still very much like a very young artist, right? I know there's songs prior. So again, this might just be like a learning curve that every artist goes through. I think we also forget, like, dude, these guys are all learning on the fly, and now more than ever, everything is being tweeted or Instagram or TikToked out. Whereas like back in the day, and there's always like this comparison of like Michael Jordan, like LeBron, like, bro, like if Michael Jordan was in this day and age of like social media, like he would be scrutinized in a way that like is uncomparable to what it was before. So I'll give him a little bit of grace, but yeah, I definitely felt like a weird PR move at the start of your career, but it is what it is. All right, bro, before we get out of here, you and I spoke offline about this, and it was, I guess a lot of people are submitting what they to the Grammys, you know, certain things that they want to be for consideration. You and I chuckled about Offset submitting his album for Grammy nomination for Album of the Year and Rap Album of the Year. Maybe a Rap Album of the Year. I don't know if that's like an Album of the Year quality, but we'll discuss now. So in doing that, though, I wanted to give some conversation to what do we consider one Rap Album of the Year? And then number 2, overall Album of the Year, considering it's already, you know, October 15th when we're recording this, or 14th.
For me, Rap Album of the Year, in terms of what we would want or what we think is gonna happen. Or
no, I mean, whatever, dude. Again, I think all bets are off whatever happens on Grammy night. So what do you personally think is Rap Album of the Year?
Oh man. So it's tough to say, but I toss up between Schoolboy Q, Blue Lips, and 21 Savage, American Dream. And I say that because I much preferred the production on 21 Savage, American Dream. Like, that was a great start to the year, and just felt cinematic. But at the same time, Schoolboy Q's, you know, one of my favorite artists, and I felt like, I don't know, I felt like his was more meaningful in terms of just the project itself and what he had to say. So as an album, just like a body of work, I'll probably lean towards Schoolboy Q, Blue Lips.
Interesting. Because I feel like I might need to run it back, but I didn't remember that. I know I had moments where I was enjoying it, but I didn't feel like from song A to song Z, I was like fully locked in. Is that fair?
That's fair. But I think part of me is just, I don't know, 21 Savage is a little aggressive for me to want to be like, oh, he deserves it over him. But honestly, like, probably the 21 Savage album and the Kid Cudi Insano were the two that I've replayed the most this year.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's Vultures as well.
Both Vultures, bro.
Both. Shit. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Vultures.
21 Savage, I think, was the most cohesive, to be honest. I think it went through like all of the different ranges of emotions. Like, I think he had a song for his mom. He had a song for the girls specifically. Obviously, like the super ratchet shit. Surprisingly, like as crazy of like a human being he comes across on songs, like
very coherent.
Project was like a what?
He's a very coherent human being, like very like if this is the idea, cool, I'm gonna deliver that perfectly.
Like there's a plan with the album, which is weird because every bar is like he's doing drive-bys and shit, but somehow he has range on it.
So I was gonna vote for, dude, honestly, if it was, I was leaning toward one of the Vultures albums, but I don't know, man. The Vultures one is still pretty aggressive with like the sexual content in a way that doesn't feel like artistic. So that's why I think it should be nominated. I also love Vultures too. I can't give it to the We Don't Trust You, We Still Don't Trust You, because I do feel like those are, again, besides moments of like, again, like That's Fire, but besides that, it's really just like Future just saying shit to say shit that sounds cool, but like you're not saying anything. So, bro, honestly, I think I would go with 21 Savage, American Dream too. I know it was early in the year, so I highly recommend all our listeners go peep that if you can't remember it fresh, because like even the Insano stuff, like it's not cohesive for me, bro.
Right.
Like it's just
a random playlist of
random playlists. And then honestly, even though I love Don Toliver, Hardstone Psycho, like there's like 6 songs I really fuck with, and like the rest I'm just like, why is this here?
Yeah.
Like why
sounds
is this
like almost like AI generated Don
yeah. Like it's his voice, so that's correct. So I would vote for 21 Savage's album of the year. All right. So then if we're saying that, are there any other albums then that could rival that? I mean, I think we can both assume that 21 Savage isn't winning album of the year. Overall,
there's no way they let
there's no way. So do you think there's an album that you and I have discussed or maybe haven't discussed that probably is going to be the lead? I mean, I'm going to assume it's going to be maybe Beyonce. I didn't listen to Cowboy Carter. I don't know the reviews, to be perfectly honest, but I feel like she'll be nominated at least.
Yeah, she'll definitely be nominated, I'm sure. I feel like it's going to be between her, Taylor Swift, and Billie Eilish. Like, I feel like they just clean up.
Did they drop? Oh yeah, she dropped. Yeah, Billie Eilish dropped an album too, bro. Hit Me Hard and Soft.
I actually liked a couple on there.
Okay, and then did Taylor drop an album? She dropped an album, did she?
Yeah, she dropped one. The Tortured Poets Department.
Got it. Yeah, so it's gonna be that though, and I'm not saying unfortunately, but I don't think hip hop had a moment where it was like everyone in America stop, listen to this, and truly grasp what's happening. Right? That didn't happen in hip hop, and I think we need to be like honest about that.
Yeah,
which is fine. Again, it's not gonna happen every year, so
exactly. Yeah,
it's fine. But I mean, let me go back to these rap albums, bro. Like, yeah, bro. But really, even nothing.
Are right. If Kamala wins, Kendrick's at the Super Bowl, and a rapper wins the Grammys, like black people better not go outside after that.
Yeah, bro. But there's a few of these albums that are just like did nothing, bro. Like the YG album, the Yeet album, the Logic album, Mac and Cheese 5. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like this was, I mean, I think we both said that the Eminem album was just weird, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like if he does get anything, it's like a pity pick or just super biased, because there's nothing on that album that made me say, oh, he's back, or like I need to replay this. Just standard Eminem.
Yeah, Big Sean, better,
a couple shock bars.
Better Me Than You. Hell no.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Sorry, I think we're both going with 21 Savage, bro. Because again, and I think a lot of that has to do because J. Cole also, I think for this situation that he put himself in, I think we all just take him out of consideration for anything. You know, like it's just like, I think you have to say 2024 is like an L for you, bro. Even though it's crazy because leading up to Might Delete Later, we're like, this is the year. It's happening.
Right.
It's the J. Cole takeover. Then, bro, like that's crazy, bro. Because in March, I know we had an episode where we're like, bro, look at the content. He's trying to make this like, we're like, yo, it's happening. And then like, bro, we're in October and it's like, my guy, don't even rap anymore right now. Like,
right. But it's also so insane to me how, like, I was thinking about this the other day, like hip hop in particular is so situational. Like 21 Savage, here we are saying his album's like arguably the best, but for me at least, awful like live performance. Whereas J. Cole is probably the opposite. Like I don't really care to listen to his shit all that much, but if there's a J. Cole performance, I know he's gonna shut that shit down. Yeah. It's gonna sound just like this song. And then, you know, I'm thinking about like I saw someone mention how at concerts, like a song might slap and then you throw it on in your car and you're like this is it, and vice versa. So it's just I don't know, random thought, but like odd to me how that really does influence how you feel about music. And we already talked about 100%. That with Tommy Richman and stuff. It's crazy.
100%, bro. 100%. There's plenty of again, I think what Travis Scott does to people at a arena or Coliseum, whatever, is completely different at times to some of the songs on his more recent shit, right? Like you see these highlights at MetLife Stadium in Jersey, people losing their fucking mind. And I'm like, bro, I play that song on my speakers in my house and I'm like, all right, bro. You know, like it's nothing's happening to me. So it's just it is interesting, bro. But I also think hip hop more than other genres is very much like, what's the intent here, right? Is the intent to have like a banger and just people bouncing around, or you like a Larry June and it's like, yo, let's just like relax and like try to hear what the fuck I'm saying. So, but yeah, let's see if we're right or wrong though. I mean, hopefully we have an album that comes out in the next 2.5 months that completely blows these out the water, because overall a lackluster list here. Did you ever listen to Donald Glover's album?
Did not.
Yeah, same, dog.
I didn't even know that until I saw the list, so gotta peep that. But I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of buzz, so I imagine I won't enjoy it if that's the case.
Did you check out the new LL Cool J album, The Force?
No, I heard like 1 or 2 songs off of it, maybe.
Oh, dude, you're a better man than me, because
it showed up in my new Music Friday list on Spotify. So
you are a better
anything
man
that shows
than me.
up there, I'll listen to. But you know, it's one of those things where you're like, shit, if I had tens of millions of dollars in time, you know, why not?
Why not, bro? 100%. Like, dude, no knock to him, bro. Why the fuck not, bro? You're set for life. You want to make a rap album, you a rapper first. Like, bro, put the album out, bro. Fuck us. So all good, bro. Cool. So before we get out of here, let's get into some Heat of the Week, episode 194. What song you going with, my guy?
This one's by Trevor Spitta. Coincidentally, I know we brought
also the Tommy Richman album.
Yeah. This one, honestly, I've been replaying the most out of all of his songs. Maybe curious to see what you think about it. It's called In My Whip. I would say the production gives Tommy Richman vibes, but Trevor Spitta raps. I mean, you can't call yourself a Spitta if you're not actually rapping. I particularly like him as an artist because he's very he's a easy listen. Like the bars aren't like, he's not trying to do lyrical miracle shit, but he's also not giving you just the most cookie cutter misogynistic, like I got racks type of song music either. It gives off, you know, White Lies with Jack Harlow.
Of course, bro. Yeah,
so like that kind of vibes, but more upbeat. So yeah, this song I've been replaying a lot at the gym and just chilling. It's called In My Whip. And I'll send that to you. I hope he gains more momentum because he definitely deserves it. But also one of those artists where you like don't want him to get mainstream and
yeah, for sure. Send me that song. Because I also never heard more than a couple songs from him. Hold on, I think this is the song that I wanted to pick. Let me just double check. All right, yeah, because I know we took a break from recording because of the hurricane and everything. So I know you and I were talking about this offline. So I'm going to go with, and they have the remix Fire. So I'm going to go with Leon Thomas. So he dropped an album 2 weeks ago called Mutt, M-U-T-T, like a dog. So he has a remix to that song with Freddie Gibbs. Shout out to Freddie Gibbs is having random ass features this year that are fucking fire for no reason. Because I've been re-listening to Vulture's One, and I'm like, dog, this Freddie Gibbs feature is just so hard for no reason, dog. But there's the song. So the album is called Mutt, but the song itself is also called Mutt, the Mutt remix. And bro, Leon Thomas, if you guys haven't heard it, like I would say R&B, soul, lot of hip hop elements, which I love. Vibey fucking 14 tracks, bro. Like the album's only 48 minutes long, so like a very nice playlist. But Mutt is a very cool song. The way this song is structured, again, he's alluding to like being a dog and the way like he treats women, but also why you should still fuck with him. Like it's a very cool spin on it. And then with the Freddie Gibbs feature, Freddie Gibbs gives like that braggadocious hip hop vibe that you want to hear when like someone's talking that kind of shit. So like it's a very enjoyable track.
Yeah, from what I heard, it sounded dope. Also, I just realized I didn't know this dude was like a Nickelodeon actor.
Leon Thomas?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
So I looked him up and I recognized his face and I was like, wait, and I saw something about, was it Nick Jr.? I see. Provided the singing voice of Tyrone on Nick Jr. and then he played Andre Harris.
Oh, yeah. I see it.
But the funny thing is I don't recall watching any of that shit, so I don't know how I recognize him.
Dude, but I know he's written for Ariana Grande, Tony Braxton, Post Malone, and Rick Ross.
Yeah. That's what's wild too, is a lot of these artists you think they're overnight successes and
they've been doing this shit for like 18 years.
Yeah, like 20 years. Right? Wrote like fucking a Drake song and shit. And you're like, look at this guy. Like, who does he think he is?
Yeah. And mind you, he's only like 25. So when did you do this?
Right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I've never heard of him before, but So Lection was playing a couple tracks and I jumped into it. And then I saw it had like a Ty Dolla $ign feature. I'm like, oh, bro, let's go. So yeah, man, if you haven't listened to the album, check it out. But definitely, if it's your first introduction, check out the Mutt remix with Freddie Gibbs.
For sure.
And then you're gonna send me the spitter
in my whip. Yep.
Yeah, send me that. Cool. All right, my boy. Let's get out of here. Let the people know what we got going on. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Check us out at audio-theory.com. New episode every week on all platforms. We also got the Heat of the Week and Spotify, Apple Music playlist on there as well. Merch link on the website. If you're on YouTube, check down below. Cop you something. It's getting cold. There's hurricanes and shit.
Least
you can do is get a beanie or a hoodie, what have you. But otherwise, please subscribe, comment, do what you can to support the channel.
Dude, you can't donate, share with a friend, My dude, I appreciate you. Glad to see you. We're back in the mix now, going strong to the end of the year. So we'll talk soon, bro. Love you.
Sounds good. Love you too. Peace.
Peace.